Hi, I'm Nate with Average Jack Archery, and thanks for coming outside with me today. Today, I want to talk about my gear that I'm going to be using for 2022. Now, some of the gear is the same and some is completely different, but more importantly, some of my shooting style has completely changed for this year as well. And I'm just going to kind of vlog, shoot through this because I'm at a point in my life where all the fancy bells and whistles and B-roll and everything else just don't make sense. So first things first, we'll start off with the bow. This is the Athens Vista 35, and I'm shooting a 70-pound limb, which is something I have never done before. But I started shooting it for 3D. I was getting good speeds out of it, and it's worked out really well. And I'm enjoying the draw cycle on the Vista 35. It's very smooth, very linear, 80% let off on the module there, the rotating module, and it's worked out really well. I'm running Bloodline strings, Bloodline material strings rather, from Wicked Threads Custom Strings out of Dillsburg, PA. Craig is one of our string builders that we use in our shop as a dealer, so very happy to use his strings. These things look like they're brand new out of the package, and I don't know how many shots I've put on them already this summer. Shooting Hamskea Hybrid Hunter Rest. I'm a big Hamskea guy. That's nothing new there. However, this is very new, shooting a Redline sight. Redline splashed onto the scene this year at ATA in 2022 with a litany of different sights. I've done some reviews on some of their stabilizers, sights, and quivers. They're making a lot of really good accessories. They're headquartered out of Pittsburgh, PA. But this time around, instead of running what I've always run, which is a multi-pin sight, I'm running a single. This is their RL2 single pin sight. It's a 19 thousandths fiber, and I'm running it with the positive stop all the way at the top. So this has actually worked out really well on the indoor scene. Shot this all indoors winter at 20 yards. Was able to win some money doing some competitive indoor shoots. This will be the first time, however, I've ever taken a single pin out into the woods. I'm actually really nervous about it, but I'm really struggling with my eyesight this year. And I know it's a nitpicky thing for me. It's not because I can't shoot pins. I shot pins just fine earlier in the spring and summer when I started changing this over from an indoor bow to an outdoor bow to shoot it for the unknown stuff in the IBO that we have here for 3D, having 20, 30, 40 yard pins or whatever, something close to that. But I was really struggling with starbursting of my pins, and it's really not going very well no matter what colors I pick, etc., even with glasses on. So I'm still getting some blending in there with the speed of this bow at 70 pounds. I shoot about 30 3/4 inch draw length, and my arrow, which we'll get to in a little bit, does not weigh a whole lot, so my pin gaps are very close. So running a single pin and actually judging the distance has been really going well for me actually this summer. I don't usually judge super duper well, but definitely for whitetail distance of 35 and in, I've actually been pretty solid, in particular for that minute of deer, you know, that 3 to 4 inch group that is perfectly adequate for the whitetail woods. Going down, we have CBE Torx bars, the 11 and 7 inch, the Hunter series, which I've been using for many years. Not much, whole lot of this has been wildly different in terms of my style of shooting. I like longer axle bows. The 70-pound limbs has been something new, but the big change this year has come with the release. So we'll knock an arrow, and we'll talk about the release first, and then we'll get to the arrow. So I have always hunted with an index style release, and I'm going to try a thumb button this year. This is the thumb button that I shot all indoor season, the Hot Shot Vapor. They also make the Vapor and the Vapor 2. This has been a fantastic thumb button for me. I like it. It's only a single stage, so it just opens and closes there with the jaws. Shot super consistently with it. It's not that expensive. It's around $100, and I'm not usually a thumb button guy. I usually shoot hinge for target stuff and then an index style for hunting. This has been super consistent for me, and since it's one stage, you know, you can't like accidentally like knock this off until you actually like really get into squeezing the trigger. So that's kind of nice. It's definitely not a hair trigger for me. I have it set relatively cold here for the hunting season, but it has been shooting very well. Now we will see when I start self-filming. You know, am I going to run it with a lanyard? Probably. I'll probably put the wrist strap back on, or at least a lanyard through the hook around my wrist so I don't drop it out of the tree. But it has been working out super well for me. I've been drawing it. You know, my normal draw, which is up around in here, that's working out really well with 70 pounds. If I want to draw it down a little bit lower, you know, I kind of get caught. I got to kind of want to do one of these draws. That's clearly not a problem there. So everything has been working out okay with this. Usually I found that index style, that nice wrist strap, I get a lot of good easy pull pressure because I'm pulling with my wrist instead of my fingers. But so far, this has been working out really well. And because of this release, I've now gone and started to anchor completely different. So I've always been into the side of the face and then nose onto the string. I've always been this, but you notice my peep is super high because of it, because I've completely changed my anchor point this year, because I feel like the past year, even with a longer axle to axle bow, long draw length, 35-inch axle to axle, 31 basically inches of draw length, that I feel like I'm tilting my head too much into it. I'm pulling my head off to the side. And I've discovered that if I just anchor off the corner of my mouth, pretending like I'm using a kisser button, I can't stand the actual pressure of a kisser button. But if I come to full draw and I actually just anchor right here in the corner of my mouth, it's actually been working out super duper well for me, and consistency, accuracy has been great. Shot a 3D course just a couple of weeks ago and I shot super well, phenomenally well, judged very well, shot very well. So even though with the shop I haven't been shooting as much as I would like to, either here in the backyard or at the local ranges, just coming up and anchoring right in the corner of the mouth, keeping my head more upright, not having to feel the pressure to bring it down into the string, my accuracy consistency has not struggled one iota, and I've been very, very pleased with it. And I actually would recommend those of you, as a side note, those of you that shoot with glasses like I do, try that out. Try just going with the kisser button. Don't feel the need to bring the nose into the string or tilt your head over. Try going with just the string in the corner of the mouth and see how that pans out for you. Apologies if you hear the kids over there screaming in the background. They're having a good time out here with Dad. So we've got the arrow build, which is nothing outlandish and definitely is something super new. We're shooting a Sirius Supernova 2.0. It's a standard diameter arrow. It's a very standard way. I think it's 8.9 or very close to it GPI in a 300 spine. It's basically a gold tip hunter or a hunter XT and that types of weight. I'm running the stock 12 grain insert, 125 grain point. These are actually 3-inch Q2I, one of the old Q2I, I believe the old Q2I before they went over the black base veins that I had. And I've got them on a left helical, and then I'm running a lighted nock. Now I usually run nocturnal lighted nocks. However, this one here is the deep power, and I'm running it because I get a lot of questions about them because they're cheap, people want to review them, and I'm all about reviewing lighted nocks because they're fun to play with. Why not? I'm a big nocturnal guy, even though they are definitely way more expensive, but you do get quality control. It's actually in the United States, so they can test it out, make sure nock fits good, etc., etc., etc. Out of the 6-pack, the one already came out burnt, so the battery is already dead, but the price point's solid on them, so we'll see how they hold up throughout the year. And that on-off switch that's on them is an absolute game changer. You don't have to stick a knife tip up in there like you would with the original nocturnals. This arrow right here, as it sits with those 3 longer fletchings, weighs about 470 grains, 465 to 470 grains with a lighted nock, and that's exactly where I like it. I don't like an arrow that's super heavy. If you follow the channel for any length of time, I don't sweat about FOC. The only reason why I know how much this arrow weighs is I'm going to get asked. So I definitely make sure I weigh them. I don't worry about sorting them. You know, do I have this one matches weight to this one? Do I match on my point? I just don't sweat it. On the Broadhead end, which is where I'm going to get a whole bunch of different questions, I'm actually mixing that up this year as well. Another side note about this arrow. So some of you might know or remember that I was going to run this arrow, which is the exact same arrow. It's cut the exact same length. Same insert, was going to run 125 grain point, but I was running these Bohning diamond vanes, or the Easton Bohning diamond vanes, which are super low profile, also 3-inch. They're very, very stiff in their construction. They're almost the same construction as the Bohning heat vane. However, I was not getting good, even on this decently strong left helical, I was not getting good fixed blade broadhead flight, consistent flight. You know, I was getting, you know, the same arrow would shoot really nice at 30, 40 yards, and the next it would plane a little bit left. Then it would plane a little bit right, and then it'd be down in the middle again. And it wasn't the consistency I was looking for. And that's not what these vanes were designed for. They were not designed for broadhead steerage. Mechanicals, they flew like darts. They tuned really well. They were very, 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 very forgiving. I shot them for all 3D, all summer, but they couldn't handle fixed blades, which is my preferred definite style of arrow, or broadhead rather, to go on my hunting arrow. So I'm kind of floating back between a couple different broadheads. I'm shooting the Wasp Dart and a 125, the Magnus Stinger or the Magnus Buzzcut, which is probably my favorite head that I'm running currently. I shot out a whole bunch last year, came back in Indiana with it. But then also the Grim Reaper Razor Cut 125, which is a mechanical. And Grim Reaper is inarguably the best mechanical maker, mechanical broadhead. They also make fixed blade broadheads and like their Hades and their micro Hades, as well as some hybrid heads too. But all of those have been tremendously successful for me. All a smaller cut. The Grim Reaper's an 1 3/8. The Magnus, of course, an inch and a little under an eighth, or a little around an eighth, maybe 3/16. And then the Dart is an 1 1/8 by 1 1/8 from Wasp. So a lot of smaller cuts, really good flight performance out of all three of them. With these vanes here, that's controlling all of them, no problem. A little bit higher profile out of these Q2Is, but those not the heat vanes, but the diamond vanes, they just weren't handling it, and that's not what they're meant for anyway. I still plan to use Huntworth clothing, which I'm wearing right here. They're Tarn pattern. Fantastic stuff. They too, just like Redline, are headquartered out of Pittsburgh. Really like what they're doing. It's a great price point for the blue collar guy looking for quality clothing that doesn't want to shell out the Sitka First Light prices, which is obviously right up my alley. I'm a middle school English teacher and I own a bow shop, so I'm definitely not a millionaire. So it's really good stuff. I'm really enjoying it. They just launched their Heat Boost stuff, which to the public anyway. I've been playing with it since last year. Video to come on that later down the road, but overall very nice. Still going to be hunting out of a saddle. I have a few spots I might throw an old tree stand on, so I can just kind of do a smash and grab right after work, you know, climb up the tree, make life simple, because I know it's a real easy spot. My days limited are going to be very limited once the season actually opens here between the shop, wife and kids and school and everything else. Getting out in the woods is going to be difficult, but you know, I'm still going to be hunting out of a saddle. Absolutely love it. I still hunt 99.9% public land, so all of that hasn't changed. Still be filming my hunts. I still use the 4th Arrow camera system for that, the Talon with the triple arm that they designed really to be used with saddle hunting. I have zero complaints about that. So I think most of the gear, if I have any applicable previous gear videos, I'll link those down in the description below if you're interested in checking any of those out. Outside of that, it's going to be a pretty mundane season for me. I have done next to no scouting. I got out to scout yesterday or 2 days ago and went out and checked. There are no acorns, like absolutely nothing. In my general vicinity of the public lands that I usually touch. So that's pretty bad. That's not good. We're going to be focusing a lot more on travel corridors from bedding areas then. You can't really hammer down a good food source. If you've ever seen anything in the past, I live in the the mountains of PA here, so Mountain Laurel. They live off of hard mass stuff. There's not a lot of ag for miles and miles around. Maybe a cut hay field every now and then, people's yards and gardens and stuff like that. But outside of that, it's going to be tough picking. So we'll see if we can get on doe patrol come opening weekend, maybe, if we can get out. At a very minimum, if we can see a legal buck in the hoof, I'd be tickled. So I think that's all for this video, a smash and grabby right after work as it feels, because that's exactly what it is. But I hope you're able to definitely get outside yourself and get into the hunting woods. Oh, one last thing before I forget, hats. We finally have merch. You have asked and we have finally answered. My wife was able to design some absolutely stunning hats. We have some good patch hats. We have some good embroidered style. If they don't like the brown leather, some dark black leather patches, multiple different colors. Check out the links in the description below if you're interested. We can definitely ship them to your door anywhere pretty much in the continental US, definitely in the lower 48. If we need to ship internationally, we'll look into it if you're interested in supporting the channel that way. But speaking of support, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're able to get outside and enjoy the sport of archery hunting if you so choose. Definitely enjoy God's beautiful creation. Hope you're successful this fall, and we'll get to see you next time.